Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you guys all had a solid trading day. It's Noob coming at you live from Bacon HQ. Just to show you guys it is me. Here's the chat. We got Noob live and online. JR spitting some options. Game and chat, of course. And then just to give you a little context here, in my Trader Sync, I started this account in order to start tracking my scalping options. Which actually started off like extremely strong and then really just took a turn for the worse. Well, let's see how many red days I tracked up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oof. At the moment, I didn't even realize I had 8 until I looked at this calendar, but maybe that's something to keep track of. So yeah, I was doing all write-ups prior to the 27th here. Then I kind of decided, fuck it, let's make some videos. So here we are. Ooh. Sorry about that. Alright, so overall on the day, negative 31, a cumulative return, which is not what you want to see. Granted, my scalping account here is only relatively like 2K, give or take. So that's over a 1% loss, which could be worse, but realistically, I decided this day was pretty trash because of these trades on SPY, which were just god awful, but we'll get into those. First trade was on Apple. Not really a clean setup here. Nonetheless, it was a green trade. Oh, let me go back. Apple. There we go. So yeah, I was only in this trade about a minute here, which I'll take $8 in a minute. Whatever, it's something. But I will not take this setup. This is terrible. I don't even think I was reading I know I wasn't reading the tape sales. I didn't have a strong focus on tape sales at this moment in time. I was definitely just looking for a bounce, potential push back up to VWAP. We were certainly extended, but again, my entry wasn't on this candle at all, so to play the bet, pull back to the EMA 9 was certainly risky where I had entered, and the volume was not great at all. So smart exit, bad entry, not a clean setup. So I'll take what I can from that trade. Next trade was decent. It was on Workhorse. On hindsight, there was definitely a better trade to be made. So we opened up relatively strong. Got a small period of consolidation here that I thought could break out. Broke lower, and right when we touched that VWAP and SMA 20, I should have been looking for entry there as we started to reverse off of it and confirm that we were holding this higher low. Especially because when you start to execute as I did here, like into these breaks, the premiums really accelerate pretty quickly, and I'm not getting the best fills. I actually had a decent return on this. The premiums must have jumped pretty fast because Workhorse was relatively strong on the day. This break didn't have much follow through, but luckily I had a solid exit even though my entry wasn't the most ideal, because this easily could have just wicked right back. But I think part of my thinking in this was, okay, that's a really solid amount of buying. I don't see why this doesn't break at this point in time. And then that's when I kind of went with it. But definitely easily could have gave back a little bit and stopped me out. But I'll take the green there. All right. Next trade was a classic one on SPY, and this one was picture perfect in the wrong direction. I mean, I couldn't have timed this worse, to be quite honest. Two contracts, as you can see. Sometimes TraderSync will link up the buys separately, and it'll show them like I bought two separately. That definitely wasn't the case. I hit the button for two contracts at once. As you can see, the execution times on those two contracts are exactly the same. And I was only in this trade for like 30 seconds. It proved me wrong so fast, 40 seconds. And I was looking for a low-a-day break, which in hindsight was definitely not what I should have been looking at. Prior day close was around 384, gap down about 4 points there. So we were already down pretty decently, and we got our lower day break right there. Opening break was pretty clean as well. And I shouldn't have been looking for the low of day again, especially on such a low volume pull back into this level. And since I was just so biased into seeing that, I'm pretty sure I literally executed right on the bottom of that wick right there, which is pretty ironic. That's where people are always like, "Oh, the stock market's out to get me." Yeah, right. That is just terrible trading. But at least I can realize that in the moment, and I just took the quick loss as it was going to take out these past four candles. It is what it is, and definitely learned the importance of context here. Because again, super low volume. This is just because it's some sort of flag to test a new low doesn't mean it's just gonna break. I mean, as you can see, I literally had zero follow through, not at all. I should have been watching level two as well at this point, but as I had mentioned, I didn't have a strong focus. Of course, what do I go to do? The go to do next is go long on SPY with two more contracts. Context is ever so important here as we're weak as shit on the day, and we did pop off those bottom lows, but some small consolidation that's more or less just lower volume. I mean, as you can see, we were kind of had an average volume around here that we just really, these green bars are decent, but we really dipped on volume. So I shouldn't have took entry into this consolidation period looking for a higher day break, but I know that's what I was looking for. And just again trying to play into that things I wanted to see that necessarily in the moment weren't forming or had context clues that it was going to form. So as it kind of like just danced around a tiny bit on super low volume and just like pulled under, I was like, all right, I'm out. It's not moving how I want it. And since I took two contracts on size there, that ended up being a $24 loss, which is realistically 1% of my account and a scalp. I mean, that's not ideal. All right, next trade was on Workhorse, and this was definitely better. Uh, sure, in hindsight, there was a better play to go for, but I was looking for, or what I was looking at upon entering this trade was this level here. We got a little bit of consolidation higher, and we were holding above, so I was looking for a decent follow through on the break, and I got it somewhat, but I got stopped out on this candle as it didn't seem to follow through more. Realistically, what was happening in time was a tighter consolidation for a further, more stronger breakthrough and increase in volume there. So that would have been the move I would have liked to take, or maybe I take one size, sell, and then re-add as we start to push in here. But I'll take a green nonetheless, especially on a day like today where my trades weren't the best. But what does it matter when you give that that nice little green on Workhorse right back to Nokia on this nutty day? Definitely was feeling a little bit of FOMO here on some runners. I think AMC was running and GME were both running, and Nokia just seemed crazy. Options were super cheap, which I'm not quite sure why I was trading options on a $7 stock. I could have just been trading shares just as easily for the most part. But I got in here looking for a break of 7, ideally looking for another break of 7.5 and a push higher, which was, I don't know, I guess delusional in the moment because that clearly never even got close to happening. I mean, it did get close to a test of 7.5. It set up a decent bit there, but I wasn't going to wait an hour and a half in my play. Then volume just really died down for the most part, and it just kind of shit around in that $7, 6.5 area. So it's when it just didn't move fast. I just kind of got out and just took it for what it was. But all right, that pretty much concludes it. I don't think I got. Yep, that's my last trade. So there were my trades on the day. 6 trades total. Spy, my biggest losses both were with two contracts. Oh man. And $10 in commissions. So you're welcome, Ben H, for that. And I'll catch you guys in the next one, and hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Peace.